Right, we're live on YouTube.
Welcome.
Hello, YouTube.
We're going to talk about golden ales and lagers. And lagers? I didn't know that, Chris. I thought it was just golden ales.
I don't know. That's what we agreed.
Well, we just get golden ales in just now.
Oh, okay. Well, fuck the lagers. We'll do that some other
Let's just
time.
do golden ales.
Yeah, let's just do golden
Yeah.
ales.
There's not much about lagers on the notes.
IT0.
Okay, we're live on Facebook as well.
So you
for
can tell I feel
those-
like really planned.
For those of you who are now who are live watching us on Facebook, which apparently according to my screen is no one, so I'm kind of talking to no one right now.
Well, one day someone will be watching.
Yeah, somebody might. Oh, here we go. We got one person on. What's the betting? It's Thomas or Brooksy or
Right.
Brett.
The best.
What, on the Facebook?
The
No,
best.
on the tube.
Oh,
On
the
the
tube.
tube.
We've got someone on Facebook. Who's that
You're
on
on
Facebook?
If you're on Facebook, you're better heading over to YouTube.
Well, Brett's
Because
on
that's
Facebook.
where the chat happens.
Yeah, Brett's on Facebook for some
Yeah,
reason.
I can't be bothered to monitor the chat in Facebook as well as
Yeah.
YouTube. It's too
I
much.
told you-
Too much for my tiny mind.
I told you it would be Thomas as the first person.
Good man. He's
Aye.
got the bell. He's got the bell selected.
He's got to have it, hasn't he? Oh, Crew Wolf's with us as well. So, guys, what I was going to say was...
Click the bell. Click the bell.
What I was going to say
Hey,
was
son.
Owen's going to join us in a few minutes when he manages to
joined?
get his kids off to sleep. I know, I can see that, but they're a few seconds behind.
All right.
And basically we're just gonna do our thing, and we'll wait for Owen because he's an important cornerstone.
He looks fucked.
Fucked off.
That's
Tired.
that's a man who's had a difficult bedtime routine right there.
Well, I have put up a very large fence today. That's mostly what I've been doing. I've been in the garden all day. So, yeah, if I do look tired, it's because I genuinely am tired.
Have you had anything to eat, Owen?
Oh, I've eaten. Yeah, I'm all good. I've
How's
got
that?
a big box of beer to get through. I'm all right now.
Okay.
It'll be okay.
Has everybody got beers?
No, I don't know if I can stomach a beer at the minute.
Andy, unless you've got a beer in your hand within the next 10 seconds, I'm booting you off the podcast.
This will not do, sir. This will not do.
Yeah, get on it.
Do you know what I'm going to do? Until such time as
You're
you
either
have
on
a
it or you're
beer,
off it.
you are now muted, Andy. Yep. Go get a beer.
Off you trot.
Crack on. Yeah. Right then.
We live on YouTube, man.
We're live on YouTube. We're live on Facebook. We're ready to rock and roll. We're waiting for people, namely you, because we're kind like that. We have notes, by the way. So there's a notes document which I've set up an email to you, Owen.
All right.
I'd like to claim that I did anything on those notes, but aside from a bit of blurb at the top, basically Andy wrote it also.
Hats off to Andy.
Absolutely.
Did you say you emailed it?
I emailed it to you, yeah, when I set it up. Episode 44, Golden Ales. Well done on getting the barbecue and beers episode out nice and quick there, Trick.
Yes, I did do well, didn't I? Yes.
I was being genuine when I said that, you know. Thanks, mate.
Cheers, Chris.
Oh,
I don't like to have
yes.
them queued up, like
No.
more than one on the cutting table. It does not sit well with me.
Well, are you going to be editing the first one whilst we're doing the secret second one today then?
I'm not that keen.
Secret second.
The
Look
secret
at my-
second.
Look at my sexy clean glass.
That's
Oh, yeah.
sexy.
You're winning awards for clean glass.
The
Glass
glass
bearer.
police will be on to you for that.
Okay.
Look at you drinking out your filthy glass.
Look at that. That's a good looking beer off the hand pull.
Oh,
look.
nice.
What colour's yours, Owen?
What
Is yours
colour
nice
is
and
it?
orange?
Yeah.
It looked very red. It's almost
Yeah.
red. Mine is
Probably-
red.
probably
Mine's
just the lighting.
very red. Okay. Shall we
Head
kick this one
retention
into
is
high
shocking.
gear?
I don't know if I can be bothered, Chris.
It's the spirit.
Uh,
Say that again, Andy. Can't hear you, mate. Can't hear you. Yeah. Right.
Snubbed.
Let's get this show on the road, shall we?
Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing.
oh. That Sierra's good.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm good.
Who's leading off today?
I'm ready to rock. Not me, I'm fucked.
Chris.
Okay. I'll do it again. Okay. Right then, are we ready to click record?
Oh shit.
I swear,
I am so in the ball today.
we have 4 professionals on this podcast today, ladies and gentlemen. Right. 3, 2, 1, click.
Shit, no, I fucked it.
Cunt.
Go again.
Ah.
How did you fuck it?
I just didn't have the right window up.
Oh,
Okay. Are we all ready and on the right window? 3,
Yes.
2, 1, click.
Oh no, I fucked it.
You're all nicely muted there, Owen, so we can't hear you anyway. He's muted himself so he can have a vape, hasn't he?
Did he say he'd fucked it as well?
Oh,
Yeah,
he's
to
fine.
Just a laugh.
He's just having a giggle.
Oh, we don't have
He's
to
doing
go
a
third time
tricky.
lucky then.
He's doing a tricky. Okay, give me a couple of seconds of quiet and then I'll jump in. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 44 of the Hop Edition podcast, where today we will be talking about the summer smasher, the superstar of the sunny days, the I'm sitting underneath a pergola with a beer in my hand, watching the bees humping plants. It's one of those beers that is very underrated by a lot of people. However, I think personally that this is the summer smasher that you all need in your kegs for the upcoming couple of warm months. It is the Golden Ale.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Anyway,
The Golden
today's...
Ale! The Golden Ale! We're going to celebrate the Golden Ale.
Hooray.
We are. But before we do that, I want to say thank you to Brewcake Tap, your number one source for dispensing kegs, taps, drip trays, for all your Firmzilla, all your Brewzilla, and much, much more needs. Check them out at brewcaketap.com. Tell them that the Hop Edition sent you. That's our sponsor for the show, Brewcake Tap.
Thanks, Johnny.
How professional.
Can we put some like fancy music on the back of that?
Tricky can do that. Tricky's skilled. You know what he's going to put, don't you? He's going to put... That's what he's going to put on it.
Yeah, a bit of Benny Hill. That would be great.
It's great. We've got sponsors behind us. Well, a sponsor behind us at the moment. And I couldn't be happier that it's Johnny because, you know, I need a couple of new kegs.
Yeah. I'm sure that's where you can buy the brand new ones as well, can't you?
Yeah, you
To
can.
the Kegland. I'm
Yeah,
sure
yeah.
that is exactly what is that shiny thing, maybe.
Yeah.
In the back, maybe.
Yeah,
Cracking kegs. Brand
And
new.
also-
they're actually quite cheap.
they are. And they're very good quality.
Yeah.
I'd also like to say thank you to our Patreons. We have Johnny Pollock as a Patreon. We have Brett Simmons, Stevie Burton, Phil Jones, Gary, the Hitman Hughes, Thomas, the legend from Sweden. We have Graham Hughes. Shame he's got a beard. Brewcat Brewery. We have Lukey Stevens, the Tottenham supporter, unfortunately. And we have Brett Harmon from Harmon Brewing, who've all joined us as Patreons. If you want to join us as a Patreon, be sure to go to patreon.com/the Hop Edition podcast. There's many options. Sign up and you will get access to our Discord channel where you'll get such amazing barbecue recipes as Korean glazed cabbage.
There you go.
Well, hey, that's going to draw them all in, isn't it?
Yeah, that's going to be a hot potato, that one. A hot cake.
Yeah, there's a lot more on there besides just me posting crappy recipes that I came up with on the spot to satisfy my wife's desire for a vegetarian barbecue.
Superb.
Cabbage.
Cabbage.
It worked.
I tried, just talk a little bit about barbecue. I tried cooking beef cheek today for the first time.
How'd that go?
Didn't come out well.
Oh dear.
I was expecting like delicious gelatinous style kind of brisket-esque meat. And what I got was more like jerky.
I mean, that's no bueno.
No,
Jerky, that's not the consistency we are looking for.
not quite like what I was looking for.
This
No.
is not the consistency you are looking for.
Thanks for stating the obvious. Yeah, but I don't know what I did wrong, but back to the
Dried it out a little bit.
That is supposed to be a cut that's used for low and slow and barbecue style cooking, is it not? Or...
cooked it for about 5 hours.
The thing with cheeks is there's not a lot of fat on them, is there?
No, there's quite a lot of collagen in it though.
So it should have come out quite sticky.
Yeah, and there's quite a big sort of sinew or sinew, like running right the way through, made it collagen. And apparently, if you don't kind of get that breaking down, it's basically, and I can attest to this point, it's just like a big lump of rubber right in the middle.
No.
It was not good. I think I pulled it too soon. That was the problem.
No.
Because the wife needed to eat and I ran out of time. Classic fail. Classic barbecue fail.
I'd have told her to have a bag of crisps and wait another 2 hours.
Well,
keep the kids up. Just chuck in the chicken nuggets for them.
She was going out, so shit. Anyway.
Yeah. Your missus has gone out tonight, hasn't she? Yeah. Forgot about that.
Well, that's
right
the
then.
Kids don't kick off then.
Shall we go straight in with a what you drinking, Andy?
Oh, it's the Sierra. I probably talked about this before, but yeah.
You did last episode.
Probably the last episode. It is a banger. And do you know what? Here, I'll tell you what. Let's discuss it. Beer changes over time.
No.
Funny that.
Never.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
Yeah, beer changes over time. Wow.
In case our listeners didn't know.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, that's the thing. Right, see if you're not into homebrewing, you will not know. Like a commercial example, you'll probably maybe have 1 or 2 cans of it or something, and you won't know the difference that will have over that period where you'd normally go through a keg. There you go. I always find it gets better as it gets older, but don't know about you guys.
As a rule of thumb, yeah.
With respect, Andy, I aged a alt beer for over a year. So, yeah, I'm aware of this one.
Yeah.
That was pretty damn good. Right. Let's go to Tricky because he looks a bit glazed and confused. What are you drinking, Trick?
Well, if you'll allow me to blow my own trumpet briefly, this is
it's
not like medal-winning New Zealand Pilsner. So this is the beer that I put into the lab open competition. Came second in the hoppy and bitter category. So it was basically in amongst a load of German Pilsners from the looks of what the other beers were that placed. And it came second to the beer that actually took the best of show overall for the whole competition. So
dang it.
Kind of annoying that one was on my table, but at the same time, like if you're going to get beaten by one beer, at least it goes on and wins the whole thing. So
exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it is Nelson Sauvin Wakatu. Is that Chris's preferred way of saying Wakatu hops?
I just don't give a shit anymore.
He's not bothered. Used to pull me up on the pronunciation of all the New Zealand hops, but he doesn't seem to give a shit anymore.
No.
Anyway, so Nelson Wakatu, I think there might even been a little bit of Green Bullet in there just for the bittering. It's got a couple of bags of leaf hops that I wanted to use up from. I think the Wakatu and the Green Bullet might have been giveaways from the malt miller at BrewCon or something. That's the only time I ever end up with leaf hops is when I get them for free at BrewCon. And Global Yeast. Was it Global Yeast? I think it was Global Yeast. And yeah, just a floor malted Pilsner, bit of Carapils, something else. And it's big on the Nelson. Loads of that sort of grapey, gooseberry, aromatic, but a nice kind of Pilsner bitterness to it as well. So I sent it into the comp, not expecting too much because it was very young. It was literally only in the keg for about 10 days before I sent it off. But I think that might have actually helped a bit because it was super fresh. And the descriptor for that in the guidelines is very much sort of like needs to be heavy on the New Zealand hop flavor. Should be kind of lots of flavor of grape and gooseberry, and essentially describing the profile of Nelson hops, which I think that that guideline is based on. So yeah, I thought that might go against it, but I think maybe actually it was a benefit to it. But it's cleared up a lot more now as well. There may have been a little bit of gelatin involved. Well, but it's a really good beer. I've been hammering it myself, and yeah.
So Tricky, would you be willing to allow us to use that recipe as the first recipe for the Patreons?
Well, I was gonna say if people want to look at that recipe, I will be happy to post it up in the recipe channel on our Discord server, which you do need to join the Patreon in order to get access to, people. So
secret sauce.
Cha-ching!
It's all about the secret sauce. That's what it's all about. So Dave Foxton has just popped up on YouTube asking for the recipe, and that's why I asked Tricky, because I didn't know which way he wanted to go with that one.
Yes. And there is a possibility that it may be going into kit form with Brew Day, the company in Nottingham as well, because I've spoken to them after sending one of the guys there a bottle, and he liked it a lot as well. So yeah.
So how would you get out of that affiliation tie-up, Tricky? More free kits?
Just probably my logo on the recipe link, I guess. But that's about it.
That's class.
Hopefully a few more free all grain kits down the line to review as well, perhaps.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Good tie-up.
Owen, what you got in your glass, buddy?
I was just going to say about Tricky's beer, like Nelson. It would seem this year is the last crop, 2021.
Yep.
Nelson crop is just amazing.
It's absolutely stunning.
So good. I really need to buy some more.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got 700 grams of it, but I probably need another kilo.
What's this probably shit?
The thing is, like, when you get like a crop that's really, really good one year, I think it's worth like
investing,
building up the inventory.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you never know. Next year's crop could well be.
Is it the 2021 you've got, guys?
Yeah. I think so.
Possibly. I got the stuff from Gitterbrewed in the kilo pack, and
that's exactly what I did.
Right.
If that's the same as what
it's quite expensive, isn't it?
Not as much from them if you're buying it in the kilo packs. I was pleasantly surprised by the price.
Yeah. It was about 35 quid or something for a kilo.
Yeah, it was
about that, 37 quid, something like that.
No more than about 40 quid, I don't think.
Not bad.
Can I just throw some news into the mix before Owen announces his beer? We've just had a new Patreon subscriber sign up. I've literally just got the announcement on my phone, and it is Oshin, who works with my missus, You signed up as a
Oh.
Patreon. Good lad, Oshin. Well done, mate. Thank you. So, yes, Owen, what's in your glass?
I am enjoying a beer from Brewcat Brewery.
Oh,
Yeah, from Richie Brooksy. This is the Mango Unchained, which is his mango vice beer.
Rather nice.
Which I was just having a look at the recipe. He's been doing the whole kind of QR code thing. On here. He put the QR code on the lid there, which is awesome. Which is quite a smart move, actually, because I've found if you put the QR code on a label that you've printed, that when you like keg the beer, quite often you get a lot of condensation issues that can then like smudge the ink and stuff. But this
depends what paper you use on, because if you get that,
yeah, you're quite right.
I've been using, is it the kind of plastic type paper? Well, and it doesn't run. That's good.
High end. You're high end, Andy.
High end.
Totally high end. I'm surprised you don't print on stainless steel, to be honest.
Lasered.
Yeah. Laser
acid etched.
So Brooksy's made an absolutely cracking beer here. I think it's a pretty straight hef recipe. He's gone floor malted Bohemian Pilsner, but he's added 4.25 kilos of mango, which is an enormous amount of mango.
Yeah, you chewing it.
Just bonkers, yeah. And I mean, it's got a huge body.
I see the colour. You were pouring it, and it was just like,
oh mate, it's absolute mango juice. I'm pretty sure it's 50% mango juice.
It's basically Rubicon mixed with a vice beer. That's all that is.
The crazy thing is, despite the amount of mango that went into it, yeah, I'm still getting the yeast phenolics. I'm still getting that banana clove coming through.
Yeah, I thought that when I tried that one.
It's complementing really nicely with the mango. So you're getting this just beautiful, like just it is just like bongo basically.
Nice.
It's lovely. Cheers, Brooksy. Thank you very much.
Right, and I've got the raspberry and hibiscus saison, which hasn't cleared at all. Even though it's been in the keg for quite a while now. Lovely flavour, lots of berry, lots of raspberry. Just really a very, very, very nice beer, which I'm rather enjoying drinking.
So you want.
Lovely jubbly.
And you can. I will attest. You can smash that beer. It goes down a little bit too well when you're barbecuing. I'll be honest.
We were supposed to be getting a sample of that one, weren't we, Chris?
You will do as soon as the bottles arrive, mate. I put the order in on eBay on
You're
your
gonna drink that all before
the 100 bottle one, Chris.
I put an order in on eBay on your recommendation, and they're still not here.
Really? They arrived after like 2 days when I ordered them.
I was pretty.
Did they send them via DHL? That's all I've got to ask.
I think. Well, maybe. I don't know. I don't think so.
I need to chase it up because I've not had them yet. I don't know where they are. They were supposed to be here about a week ago. So.
Oh wow! Right. Okay, that's super late.
Unless it's someone else's address, I don't know.
Maybe it's Royal Mail.
If it's Royal Mail, chances are behind the pile of rubbish by our front door, there's a little red ticket saying "Come and pick it up." But you know, I haven't had a chance to go to the tip for a while. So yeah, great beer. Looks like we're all on cracking beers. So, Andy, do you want to lead us off since you wrote these notes? What is the history of a golden ale?
Yeah. So, from looking into it, I think it originated as a blonde ale back during the war. It was effectively they wanted to try and cut down the amount of wheat and barley, I think, in it, and put out a kind of a lighter kind of beer that's lower in alcohol. It was the kind of reason for the birth of it, to be honest. So it was more of a kind of government push, as these things normally are, for a kind of lower ABV. So that's kind of what it kind of went on. But it was known as a blonde ale for a long time. And then I think when the Americans took it on, they started to change. I think there was you could either call it a blonde or a golden ale at the time. And as times went on, it's more focused towards a golden ale. And I think the connotation of, blonde was kind of like always, I think some commercial breweries used to have like blonde ladies on it or something like that, sort of the kind of connotation of that. And so to move away from that, a lot more breweries kind of like going towards the golden ale, and that's more reflective on the colour of the beer as well. So yeah, that's what I read into it anyway.
I read something about golden ales that said that they came to the forefront, or they were pushed more towards the forefront to compete with continental lagers.
Mm-hmm.
Given British beers previous to that had always been a little bit darker, stouts, porters, bitters, that kind of thing. Yeah. And they pushed the golden ale to be kind of an anglicised version, a lighter beer to compete with the continental lagers.
Yeah, not as hoppy sort of thing. Easier, clean drinking sort of thing. And as like we said at the start of the pod, and in the summer months.
I'm just reading about this history bit you mentioned, Andy, about the British Parliament passed the Defence of the Realm Act in 1915, which aimed to reduce alcohol levels to keep English workers sober while producing munitions for the war effort.
So good, isn't it?
That makes sense.
If ever there's a job where you'd want to be pissed, that is one of them, isn't it?
It sounds like in 1915 people were pissed a lot of the time.
Can't fault them, really.
Clean drinking,
Just juggling detonators sanitation while you're making shells.
Water sanitation. Hey.
brings a whole new definition to the phrase "hold my beer," doesn't it?
Yep.
You can juggle 3 detonators. I've got 5. Hold my beer.
Oi, Terry, put that impy down and get back to work.
Awesome.
So I think coming back to the sort of competing with continental lagers and things, I think the modern kind of incarnation of the golden ale in the UK, you kind of have to mention Hopback Summer Lightning in that conversation as well. So there is a sort of extended history of kind of the blonde and lighter coloured ales stemming from, basically just lighter coloured kind of bitters and pale ales. And then in the sort of late 80s, you get probably what is more thought of as the golden ale nowadays, where there's a much more hoppier profile to it. And I think Summer Lightning was one of the first ones to kind of enter into that sort of territory as far as the flavor profile, and was definitely geared towards trying to give people who were maybe drinking lagers and stuff a bridge into ale drinking and cask ale drinking specifically. So there was something that was light, quite hoppy, refreshing, and not that dissimilar to lagers, but maybe with a little bit more flavor. So from that, I think you then start to see the much more kind of hoppy and recipes starting to use New World and American hops as well. So you start to see things like your so breweries like who makes the Citra beer, Oakham. So Oakham beers, lots of golden ales with New World hops in them. Things like the
Vacant,
Dark Star. Well, Vacant would be an example. So Dark Star Brewery there. Hophead, I think, is one of the more kind of modern golden ales. So
that's a really nice beer as well. I've had that on tap a few times. That's a banger.
Is it not?
I had it on cask a couple of weeks ago for my birthday. Sweet. I was in a pub called the White Star, which is on Oxford Street. If you've ever watched Titanic,
White Star Company,
where he's playing cards to win his ticket to go on the Titanic.
Is that where he played them?
That is it.
Well, you're in Southampton, aren't you?
It's another pub called the Grapes. That's actually where supposedly, it's where people would have drunk before getting on the Titanic. Anyway, a little bit of history for you. But yeah, I had a couple of pints of that on cask. It was banging.
Brilliant. Oh, the other ones I can think of maybe in Scotland is Jowl, which is Loch Fyne.
Yeah, I was trying to think of that one, but that's
Fine ales.
yeah,
that's the
definitely
Citra.
good
That's a
example.
Citra one as well. And then the other one I bang on about is the blonde. Was it the? I'll put it in the notes actually. Aaron Blonde, which is Cascade. It's beautiful.
And it's become kind of a ubiquitous thing now, hasn't it, for breweries to have a golden ale? So you find it very unusual to have a cask-based brewery that didn't have a golden ale in their lineup nowadays, especially for the summer months, obviously.
Yeah.
So what I didn't realise was the blonde ale and the golden ale are
interchangeable.
more or less
I think
the same thing.
I think. Do you know? I'd read at one point that the blonde had to be naturally, like a real ale, had to be naturally cask carbonated. Was the difference that made it a real blonde or something? But generally, when I've looked through anything online, it's saying that the names were interchangeable, and it seems to be moved towards the golden ale.
Having worked in a brewery where our flagship beer was in fact a blonde ale, there is very, 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 very no difference at all. Literally, if you put one into a keg and carbonated it and served it, it'd be a golden ale. If you put the same beer into a cask and did the natural carbonation thing on it, it'd be a blonde. So there's no real difference between the two.
Yep.
Exactly. Other than the name, it's like the difference between a Seat and a Vauxhall and a Volkswagen. Sorry, no difference. Same thing, different badge.
More quality than the VW.
Is the fuck same car, mate?
Better spec.
So we have to do this, and I hate to do this, especially considering other things, but it is BJCP Guidelines 12A.
I had to get that in there.
And the vital statistics of a golden ale are 38, 26, 34, about 5'8", red hair. It's IBU. The IB range is 20 to 45. SRM is 2 to 6. They were actually Marilyn Monroe statistics I was reading out then. Seriously, look it up. OG is 1038 to 1053. Final gravity 1006 to 1012. ABV range anywhere between 3.8 and 5%. Essentially, it is a smashable beer, which will it's one of those beers that's underrated until you make a good one. And once you make a good one, you'll keep making that good one. Like the N word, the A word that I've got on, the A2 word, which is sitting in the fermenter over there, which I've had a sneaky pint of and is actually a banger. Once you get a good golden ale, you'll find that you'll keep making it because it's an incredibly drinkable style. It's a quaffable.
You're making vacant, and
it's a session. I mean, look at vacant. I mean, how many people in the homebrewing community? In fact, tell you what, we've got live chat. Let's do a quick. We've got 11 people currently on a live chat. How many of you guys on the live chat have actually made vacant gesture? If you have, just leave us a message, and we'll come back to you in a minute.
And follow-up question, how many have rebrewed it? Because I think that's the other thing with golden ales and stuff like that, is you will, like you say, once you've got a recipe that hits the right buttons, you'll come back to it and repeat that, or use it as a basis for trying different things out.
Yeah,
so
that's what I've done in the past, is like change the hops.
Yeah, exactly.
And just keep trying different hops in that thing. I know John Anderson's done that a lot. He loves doing the kind of vacant base as well. So
just coming back to the blonde ale comparison very quickly. So like looking at the BJCP statistics for that, it literally is identical for everything apart from the IBU range. According to them, for the blonde ale is a little bit lower, but I think that's probably also a bit more reflective of what the American interpretation of a blonde ale might be, which is perhaps a little bit less bitter, whereas over here I think it's literally interchangeable. Really, you could see any beer that was essentially the same thing labeled as either blonde or golden ale. So yeah, 15 to 28 IBUs is the range for blonde ale according to our good friends at BJCP.
There you go.
Our good friends, the BJ. I mean, I love those guys. So the other thing that I love about, one of the things that I love about golden ales is the literal simplicity.
Yeah.
You can literally make a smash, single malt, single hops, and make a golden ale, and do it very easily. An incredibly simple beer that is smashable, wonderful. And I'll be honest with you guys, if you keep the ABV at the lower end, 3.8, sort of 4.2, that's where you're going to get your crushability, because you're going to get a nice crisp beer. That's where it's at, in my opinion. I'm often known to be wrong, but that's my opinion.
Yeah, definitely.
Even Ocean has brewed vacant. Ocean has brewed vacant. Crew Wolf has brewed and rebrewed. Luke hasn't, but he's a Spurs fan, you know. And Hughesy has brewed it twice as well. So we're getting there.
Thomas has brewed it today.
Yeah, Thomas brewed a golden ale today. Or vacant today. Probably brewed vacant today.
Yeah.
He loves his British styles.
He does.
I think I've brewed vacant at least 3 times, but I think I started to adapt it to the point where I was like, I've changed the yeast, I've changed the hops, I've changed it. It's like, it's not really vacant anymore. It's just an entirely different beer.
Bit of on-the-fly research for you. So the Hopback Summer Lightning recipe, because you mentioned you can do it as a smash beer. So what is the kind of OG UK golden ale in terms of the modern interpretation is essentially a smash beer, apart from they use a bit of Challenger for bittering, but the rest of it is all Goldings late in the boil and just pale malt, and that's it. So yeah, there you go, smash beer golden ale recipe creation done.
Move on. But that's the wonderful thing about these beers, they are phenomenal. And I mean, Owen, when you did your golden ales that you've brewed, what did you use malt wise?
What did I use malt wise? I think, to be fair, the only time I've ever made one is the vacant, and I've probably done that 3 times. And I think I've just followed the same grist, which I'm pretty sure is just
it's 3 things:
pale malt, some wheat, some carapils, maybe. I'd have to look.
It's like a Caragold or something. I think it's like a 10 Levibon sort of caramel. It's been an age. Yeah, there might be like some really low color crystal or something in there. Mm-hmm.
Those are really flavor things, though, aren't they? They're kind of flavoring additions.
They bring a wee bit of sweetness.
Excuse me.
Yeah, vacant gesture. Let me tell you, it's pale ale. It's pale malt. It's wheat malt and a bit of caramel. Yeah, that's it. So it's very, very sort of basic. I think the wheat's probably there just to add a little bit of body in such a low ABV beer. I'm guessing a little bit of silkiness. Caramels
can dry it out as well, doesn't it? See the wheat. Do you not find that although it will bring it down to that 1.008, sort of below 1010? Dries it a wee bit.
I don't know. I'm not sure if I've ever noticed wheat dries a beer out, but is it more fermentable than barley?
I know what Andy's talking about. It's not necessarily a reduction in final gravity, but it does give the beer a drier flavour, if that makes any sense. I've noticed that.
Yeah, I'm guessing. I'd imagine the final gravity is more determined by the mash temp and the yeast choice, but debate.
Yeah. Ooh.
So my preferred golden ale grist, after a fair few experiments into what I like, tends to be a 50-50 split of pale ale malt, so something like a Maris Otter or whatever English ale malt you have to hand. Lager malt, so it doesn't need to be anything fancy or expensive, so normally just a bog standard Lager malt can be a UK lager malt or whatever.
Yeah.
About 4.5% of Caragold. So some of the, lighter crystal malt that you can find, or Carapils will be okay as well.
Holy
and
shit.
then 150 grams of wheat or torrefied wheat, depending on what you've got available, and that's what I use. So just for a little bit more complexity of malt flavor than a straight smash beer, but still pretty light and fairly easy drinking.
Is your hop tester not golden ale tricky?
Yes, and it's not too far off that.
Yeah, I think the difference is it Munich that you put in that.
Yeah, I put a bit of Munich in. And I don't bother doing a split of the two. I just use the lager malt in that one usually.
Yeah, and then the Munich can bring a bit of sweetness or whatever.
Exactly.
Nice.
What have you got there, Chris?
Every so often you pour a beer and you just think, holy shit. And I've just poured this beer, and it is the Hauer Tower Helles by Brewcat.
Brooksy's getting all of them.
Oh my god, this is a smasher.
I had that on the last podcast, and it was absolutely
it's really good.
Very, very good.
That's a banger.
Brooksy's a generous man with beer mail.
I may have to just destroy this beer and then get another one. That's amazing.
Very good.
So, my basis for golden ales is, and Tricky's gonna probably blush a little bit when I say this, but it's the grain build that I got off of him when he did his Olicana Gold. I've never really changed it. It's one of those beers that I drank and was really surprised at just how bloody good it was. I genuinely thought that it was one of the better beers that I've drunk, and I'm trying to find the recipe because I know I transferred it across.
One of the better beers Tricky's made.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Out
of all the dross that I've sent you, that's the one that stood out.
Is that
Thanks, Chris.
Any dross?
I mean,
the grain bill that I just went through is basically the sort of final iteration of what Chris probably has for that one, I think, because that was one of the early ones.
For all the crazy beers that I've come up with myself, and some of them, like I'm sitting here right now looking at my New Zealand hop golden ale, which has got Nelson Sauvin, Rakow, Waimea, Green Bullet, and Wakatu in it, and that is just 100% Maris Otter. Because I like Maris Otter as a malt. I think it's bloody beautiful. I'm trying to find the Olicana Gold, and I just can't find it. I've no fucking idea where it is. It's on my list somewhere.
Luke Stevens just reminded me that Helles you're drinking right there is not actually a lager.
No, it's not. It's got quake in it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything. It was a really good beer, though.
No, I was keen to know what you were going to say, actually, Tricky. I was just putting that
Well,
out.
I did post when I tried that beer myself that it was the best pseudo lager that I'd ever drank. So
you do love baiting those hooks, don't you, Owen?
I could do nothing but give it the credit that it deserved, to be fair.
So an excellent beer, you would agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Have you heard this? Look at the chat. Look at what Thomas has just said.
What's he said?
Dr. Smirto's Golden Ale is a good one too.
Oh, wow. That is an old school recipe. It's been a long time since I've
Dr.
brewed
Smirto's
or even heard of that one.
Dr. Smirto's Golden Ale was one of the first recipes that Tricky put up on our old website, Mates Who Brew. Which
it was.
Morphed,
you're right.
Which morphed and became the Hop Edition. And yeah, I remember making Dr. Smirto's as well quite a long time ago. And I thought it was a banger too.
What year was
that? Amarillo beer, wasn't it? I think.
I want to say 2018.
What was the thinking behind the name? I'm interested.
No idea. It's a recipe off of an Australian homebrew forum, I think, that's been doing the rounds for years. Yeah, it's basically just an Amarillo sort of
golden ale.
Yeah, golden ale. So,
and it's fucking beautiful as well.
It's nice though.
Well, that's the thing. Put that on the list.
We sit here and we talk about these new beers and we talk about golden ales and things like that. And Tricky's been doing them for years, and I've just been copying Tricky's shit for years. You know, so it is a great beer. But that comes back to it. The malt bill is very, very basic. It's essentially, reading off of Andy's notes, low colour pale or a lager malt, acting as a blank canvas for the hop character of whatever you put in it, which is probably why I enjoyed the Olicana one so much, because I know you didn't put a lot of Olicana in it, but
it would have only been 100 grams maximum.
But if you've got a blank canvas on which to build, you can extract a lot of flavour, which is why smash beers are as good as they are for examining a hop. And it says it may use sugar, adjuncts, corn, or wheat. They're normally to add body, I assume, and the sugar is to, you know, bump it up to true homebrew UK level of 17.5%.
Maybe dry it out.
Or dry it out, yeah, like the Belgians do, because they've got taste and style. But it's a wonderful, wonderful style, which is incredibly... it's a basic bitch of a beer, but it is such a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful beer.
Yep.
Apparently, I'm going to agree with that, but I'm not going to say it because this is paid at the moment. So, yeah, if you want to know what we're all laughing about, well, what I'm laughing about, it's on the chat. Owen's just put it up. Sorry, guys, if you want to get this joke, you're going to have to watch the replay of the live feed on YouTube. So, yeah.
I amuse myself sometimes.
Now, has anybody used anything other than sort of a basic pale malt? Has anyone used Golden Promise for a golden ale?
Yes.
Because then it would be a golden ale.
Super golden.
Super golden.
The golden
24
goose.
carat golden.
Golden squared.
It's a 24 carat golden ale. I mean, I think Golden Promise would work really well, given its flavour profile.
Yeah, it's got a nice malt sweetness to it. That's banging.
So I don't think we could beat the malt bill too much more than that. But does one of you guys want to talk a little bit about the hops that you've used in golden ales and the variety? Andy?
Yeah, sure. So generally, golden ale, I'll tend to use Mosaic or so I've got one in just now in the fermenter, which has got Amarillo, Mosaic, and Sabro.
Interesting combo.
Yeah, so other things, obviously, put some Citra in, and I don't think I've done any real... Well, I might have actually at the start for my sister's wedding used some more traditional hops like EKG or something like that. But yeah.
So you're going for kind of a sweaty orange coconut thing?
Yeah, like kind of tropical.
Sweaty orange coconut. That sounds
tropical
delicious.
Oh, it's like mango orange coconut sort of.
I tell you, the marketing for that beer just wrote itself, didn't it?
With a touch of dank. No, I'm teasing you, Andy. I think
get your chops around these sweaty coconuts.
I did try. I did. So at the minute it's at 21. It's 21 for 2 days.
Dogs Asperto sweaty coconuts.
So we didn't.
Andy, if that beer is not named Dr. Spirito Sweaty Coconuts, I don't want a bottle. And at 41 minutes, the podcast descended to its usual levels of smut.
Yeah.
So,
I'm going to mute myself.
As when I've taken the sample, I think it's at 1.009. It was I haven't even dry hopped it yet, but the aroma of it is super tropical. It's just and it is really interesting on the flavour. So I think it has got bags of promise.
Well, what about hopping rates? Because we touched on the fact that Tricky's Olicana beer, or the hop testers, or even the vacant to some extent, the dry hop, it's actually relatively small.
Very small, yeah. And that's
but it still punches, like it still packs a punch, doesn't it? So I think it's kind of, it's relative, isn't it?
You have to rein it back. I think the golden ale, you definitely need to rein it back. You can't just go, oh, I'm going to put 150 gram dry hop in it, you know?
There's quite a fine line, especially with golden ales, where if you go too heavy, you're basically brewing an APA rather than a golden ale.
Exactly.
Like you say, 150 gram dry hop for me, that would be like, unless it's a super mild hop where you're not really gonna, or something maybe more like a noble or something where it's gonna still taste fairly traditional, you're gonna be getting such a big flavor impact from that's going to be then veering into like American Pale or session IPA kind of territory for me personally. So with golden ales, it would be very much restrained on the dry hop for me, or just not dry hopping at all. So a lot of golden ales I do would be all whirlpool hops, as opposed to not, I don't mean literally all of the hops in the whirlpool, but whirlpool or reasonably heavy whirlpool rather than any dry hops going in.
I would agree with that massively. I think that, as Brett Harmon said, the BJCP Golden Ale and the American Pale is very, very difficult to see any difference. And I think you can differentiate with a little bit of restraint on your hopping.
Yeah.
I don't think dry hopping a Golden Ale per se is, for me personally, it's not a step in the right direction that I want to take. I want to explore the hops within the boil, rather than just chucking a massive chunk in at the end and seeing what I get out of it. Because then you're basically brewing an APA, and I think they've been done to death. But you can experiment more with the hot side, try in maybe 20-minute hopping, maybe 10-minute hopping, maybe 5-minute hopping, as well as getting a decent chunk of your bitterness from the front end. I think that can make a massive difference to the actual beer. And I think it's something that people should maybe experiment with if they're going to go down the route of listening to us and maybe making a golden ale.
Well, I think the comparison to the APA to the golden ale, I guess, is part in hopping rate, but also choice of hops. Probably, it's kind of maybe going to distinguish certainly from your traditional versions of what an APA and a golden ale would be. I'm guessing an APA is probably going to lean more towards like the classic Chinook, Centennial, Cascade,
the big
those
C's,
kind of all the C hops, right? Which you're probably not really going to find necessarily in the traditional golden ale. Probably more British hops, but of course now we're blurring the lines. And also an APA in these days is not really a traditional APA in the sense of most American. Yeah, most American pale ales are hazy now, and there's like actually more like miniature NEPAs rather than a
exactly.
You know,
does an APA also not start at 4.5%? I'm sure. Whereas when you start to obviously go less than that, that's you in golden ale territory.
Yeah,
but those are the BJCP guidelines. They're not necessarily the brewery guidelines.
No, well, yeah, they don't really care about that.
That's why you see so much crossover, though, don't you? Because the breweries are going, okay, well, actually, the golden ale that is leaning more towards an American pale ale in flavor profile is probably going to be the one that's going to sell like hotcakes, because everybody wants that fruity, citrusy kind of hot profile versus maybe really traditional, all fuggles, quite earthy, herbal tasting golden ale. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I've always wondered like where like a low ABV hazy pale ale sits in a BJCP style. Where does that sit? Because obviously they've it sits in golden ale. Because like they have the New England IPA now, but they don't have the hazy pale ale, do they?
No. Is there I can't remember. Well, I've not actually put any beer into a NEPA category, but do they allow you to specify whether it's like a session version or not? Because I know some competitions, some styles, they allow you to sort of specify session, full strength, or even like imperial double sort of versions.
I think you're quite right, Tricky.
So that might be now where a lot of, like you say, a lot of those what are called American pale ales now probably actually would sit better in the session NEPA category as opposed to the traditional APA category, which I think is always, looking at the BJCP guidelines, you're always going to be better off with stuff that is more typical of a kind of Sierra Nevada style flavor profile as opposed to the more hazy beers, perhaps. Although I think they've written in a little bit of flexibility to the guidelines for that.
Right. Okay.
I mean, I'm all for pushing back the foreskin of science and everything when it comes to brewing. However,
he has to get that in every episode, doesn't he?
Yeah,
I do.
Either that or something about a tent peg and a toffee hammer.
Yeah.
Or boats and paddles.
I think we got to get back to Chris Millington bingo. Haven't we?
Yeah,
bingo. I do think that there is a role for research, but there is also a role for the methods with which you have nailed and have become solid. And whilst I agree that, yes, the lines have blurred massively as opposed to hop choices, if I'm offered, let's say I'm offered 3 beers in a pub, and one of them is a golden ale hopped with Citra and Cascade, the other one is a golden ale hopped with, I don't know, Goldings and Fuggles, and the other one is hopped with, let's say, I don't know, fucking Galaxy and Amarillo. Just pulling random hops off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to go with the English version.
Are you?
I'm going to go with that version to start off with. But then I also think that we need to appreciate that whilst you may be experimenting and trying different flavor profiles, there has to be a role within the beer style for the more traditional, not necessarily because it's going to sell more, but because, as I'm discovering with my own brewing this year, Bramlin Cross has been an eye-opener for me used properly.
Bramlin it would be a good choice.
Centennial, Fuggles, EKG, all these hops are just beautiful hops, and if they're used correctly, they do really work.
Did someone not mention about Citra and Bramlin?
That was me.
Yeah.
Bramling is the bass, Citra is the high note. Yeah. I think that it's that's true, Brett. I haven't threatened to choke anyone out for a while. I'd choke you out, but I'd have to do it with my toes. I think it's one of those where you've kind of got to respect the past whilst at the same time looking to the future, and not really saying that any one particular hop type is more appropriate, but that there are traditional styles, and at the same time there are those styles which are more modern, for want of a better term. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you're all having a good chuck, aren't you? You're all having a good chuckle. Yeah.
We're all enjoying it. Are we gonna cut to a commercial break?
Have you run out of beer?
I've opened my commercial beers, so you know.
Right, let's cut to a commercial break before we discuss the joys of the water profile. Go on then. Commercial break, Owen. You're on it, mate.
We've got water profile and yeast to talk about. Maybe even carbonation levels.
We've got all of these.
It doesn't get any more exciting than that.
Go on, guys. Try and hold it. Don't go to the vinegar strokes just yet.
I'm getting dippered. It's I'm cracking out another
Flock's beer.
Yeah, I've gone Flock Verdant Collab.
Just before you jump in, Owen, I want to say a big hello to Mr. Brew a Bit Rickshaw, who's just joined us on the live chat.
Guy.
The man with the beard.
Nicest guy in BrewTube.
And what a beard it is too.
So this is called Literally Wandering, which is a Verdant Flock collab. It's an 8.5% double IPA. Getting it in early, so don't expect any sense from me in the next hour or two.
I predict you'll be asleep in 25 minutes.
Yeah, I might be actually. So this is hot side Amarillo, Citra, and Sabro. Cold side Citra, Galaxy, Nelson.
Hold on, what did you say there? Amarillo,
Citra, and Sabro.
Oh, close.
It's Dr. Sperto's sweaty coconuts.
My one's a bit lively.
Oh, hello.
Fucking state that.
Oh,
that's what she said.
Get a
that was a Dr.
mate.
Squirto, that one.
And then we got cold side. So it's got quite a plethora of hops. going on here. It's big, it's heavy, it smells incredible. Talking of Flock Brewing, have you guys had any Flock beers?
No.
I've never even heard of them.
I've had quite a number of their beers actually. I heard about Flock and I found them on Honest Brew and ordered up probably 4 or 5 of their beers, and I was seriously impressed. So if you get an opportunity to check out Flock, pretty new kids on the block. Did you like what I did there? That was good, wasn't it? Flock, block. Anyway, moving on. I would check them out.
Wow.
They're very, very good. But this smells stunning.
That does
absolutely. It just it's just a proper like dank Nipah, like everything you want from a super stinky mega double IPA. But on the taste, it is a little bit green.
Oh.
Mm.
Do you get any of that wood sort of earthy from the Sabro?
Maybe a tiny bit. Yeah, it's kind of, you know, when you just sort of get a little bit of that, like it's got that perceived bitterness thing, you know, like you get from huge dry hops.
Yeah.
I think sometimes Sabro can add that, I find, in big quantities.
Yeah, you need to be careful with Sabro.
You really do. I think Sabro can add a bit of that perceived bitterness, I think, especially in the whirlpool.
Is it not normally it's like it brings a creamy tropical sort of flavour, but then there sometimes can be that sort of woody, earthy sort of thing.
It gets a little bit too much, I think. Almost a bit like Galaxy used to. Quite aggressive. But that aside, it really is a stunning beer. I'm quite excited. I'm excited to try more Flock beers.
Oh, and what did you say was in the dry hop?
It was Citra, Galaxy, and Nelson.
Ah.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a Galaxy.
Yeah, I'd be surprised. I reckon it's the Sabro.
Yep.
I've had that before when I've used Sabro in Nipah's a couple of times before, and I've found that I'd had to leave the keg for like a good month before it smoothed out.
Yeah.
And I don't know when this was canned. I haven't had it that long. It was canned on the 13th of April. So, yeah, it's 5 weeks in the can. So you'd kind of expect it calmed down by now. But it's, it's not super aggressive. It's just not quite as smooth as it could be.
Is it giving you a little nip at the back of the throat?
Kinda.
Still sounds like a banger, mate. What is it, 8.5?
8.5%, yeah, it's very nice.
Boom.
Yeah. I'm enjoy it. I'm probably going to give it a 7 out of 10.
Owen's going in with a breakfast beer at 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10.
Yeah. Tricky, what's your commercial, son?
It's a slightly explosive bottle of, what does it even say? Cuvée des Trolls by Dubuisson Brewery. This was a beer from Lidl, surprisingly enough.
Oh.
They had a little Belgian festival going on prior to the mini craft beer festival thing that they did just recently, and some of these were still left on the shelf, and I couldn't resist because they're only like £6, I think, for a pack of 4. It's a 7%. Just says strong beer on it. But obviously, it's a pale or golden ale. So I guess this would be if we were going to categorize it, a kind of golden strong pale or Belgian pale, whatever. So yeah, sometimes doing the sort of random little beers can be the beer buying equivalent of bin dipping, but I think in this case, actually, it seems to be pretty legit, sort of decent Belgian beer that they've got in for this one. So It was extremely well carbonated to the point of it nearly exploding out of the bottle, and there was a little bit of beer lost to the floor before I actually managed to get the glass underneath it. So
Amateur.
Yeah, schoolboy era. I mean, Belgian beers are supposed to be, fairly highly carbonated anyway, but I think this one is maybe just a little bit beyond where it should be. That said, other than that, aroma-wise, you get a nice classic kind of slightly spicy, little bit of fruitiness, maybe a touch of banana and bubblegum on there from the yeast, and a nice sort of malt sweetness. So it is fairly strong, so you'd expect to be a little bit of that sweet malt. And they're looking at the color, I'd imagine there's not much apart from a sort of Belgian Pilsner malt in there, or maybe some wheat or something. Yeah, it smells good. And the high carbonation makes it obviously taste very sort of light and spritzy, even though it's quite strong at 7%. Nice sort of zesty bit of citrus on there. There is some phenolics, but it's not overly phenolic. So there's a little bit of peppery spice, but it's not going into the really heavy kind of clove or highly sort of spicy territory that I'm not that keen on.
You're spicy.
Oh, thanks. It's very drinkable. For a bargain bucket Lidl beer, to be fair, that is pretty fucking decent, and a fairly legit kind of Belgian golden strong. I'd say that's kind of like a sort of maybe a slightly lighter. It reminds me a little bit of triple Carmelite as that sort of flavor profile, a sort of slightly lighter version of that. But yeah, good. That's decent. If you see that in your local Lidl, I think that's definitely worth picking up for £6 for a 4-pack. So
that's not a bad price.
That was mine.
Very good price.
So,
good price indeed. I'd imagine the label art maybe putting people off though.
It looks a bit traditional, doesn't it?
That might be why it was still on the shelf. So yeah, it's a little. What's it got on it? So I'm not sure whether that's supposed to be. There might be a hop that it's supposed to have on its head there, but funky little goblin type troll type thing.
It looks French.
No,
like the artwork. It's got that.
Yeah.
When you go to Paris or something, you see that kind of weird
Bohemian.
Yeah.
Like everyone's been drinking too much absinthe.
Yeah, I did also pick up a 4-pack of a Bock beer in there as well, which looks quite interesting. So, depending on how long we're going on this, I might go and dig that one out as well. Let's see what that's like.
To be honest, I think we've got about 40 minutes of this podcast left, and then we're going to move on to the super secret second episode.
Super secret.
Yeah.
Keep it secret.
I'm just winding everybody up. I'm trying to, as Luke Stevens has said, enlarge their aubergines. So
Chris is the hype man for the Huff edition.
I'll hype anything, me. I'll hype anything. So, Andy, think of a number between 1 and 10. If you get close to the one that I'm thinking of, you can go first.
7.
You were nowhere near. It was 3. And I held up 3 fingers as well. Everybody will agree. I held up 3 fingers.
I saw it.
Let's go.
Yeah. So you can go first anyway, because I really want to big this beer up.
All right. Okay. Cool. I've got, obviously, with talking about golden ales and stuff, I thought, we'll try and grab something that's a bit similar. Yeah, Brewing Co. I had in the fridge, 4.1. It says it's a pale, and yeah, it's called Boing. Boing.
Boing.
Boing.
I'm just going to sit back and vape while Andy talks about Boing, especially since he's got his porn star casting couch in the background.
Boing.
That just makes me think of Beavis and Butthead. Boing.
Andy, that was almost like a here's one we made earlier.
Yeah, here's one.
Here's
one I cracked out earlier. Boing.
Yeah.
Go and see a doctor if it's that colour.
No, I just drink more water. So it is quite orangey, sort of. It's not exactly pale, I would say. It's got a nice kind of orange hue to it, and the aroma I was getting off. It's like super. It's that kind of bready, sweet sort of. There's definite crystal kind of sweetness, and I would say like it's not like a kind of traditional pale. It's like I would like kind of Maris Otter was. It's just that sweet malt crystal, and on the and also like a kind of sticky orange sort of thing you're getting off it. And the other thing I picked up was when I read the label, you can tell it says it was hopped with Citra and Equinox. I brewed a lot with Equinox recent, and it's definitely got that sort of a Equinox aroma, but it's not like the stuff I've done in the past where it just smacks you in the face, probably because I've used way too much. This is just a nice sort of subdued with the malt sort of thing, so it's really balanced on the nose. But yeah, go on.
What do you think about Equinox? I'm not sure if I'm a big fan.
I like
love it. I love it. I love Equinox.
Mm-hmm.
Or Euconaut, as it's also known.
Yeah. No, it's got that kind of... It's almost like a kind of sweet, juicy fruit type hop that... Owen, I think you hit the nail on the head. Was that a kind of green pepper sort of thing?
Yeah, see, I always just get green pepper from it, and I'm like...
You're not a big fan of that?
I'm not sure if it's hard because I've always made that association and I can't get away from it. So it's like I don't really want green pepper in a beer.
It depends what you pair it up with. I think this one's Citra.
It is quite good scaffolding hop.
Yeah,
I was going to say I think it's a great one to like layer with other stuff. Equinox Mosaic is a banging combination.
Yeah. Just as long as you've got like Mosaic, Citra, they're all kind of like your number one big hop sort of thing, and then you can layer it with those. And I've always found Equinox does, just.
I've got a shit ton of it in the freezer. In fact, I think I might even still have some from when I won one of your competitions on your BrewTube, on your YouTube.
Tricky.
Well, from Tricky's competition, yeah.
Bloody
really?
hell.
Which one was that?
It must be about three years ago.
Shit.
Yeah, I'm just thinking because that was the road to 1,000 subs, was it? All the comps.
I can't remember which one it was where there was any Equinox going. Where did the Equinox come from? Who?
Oh, it was Timmy's.
Oh right, yeah. Might have been the 1,000 subs actually.
There you go.
Many years ago, in the deep dark depths of when Tricky only had 1,000 subscribers.
Barely remember those times now. You know.
Yeah, now he's just it's like the rocket ship.
No, he's rocking 50 million.
He's flying up into space.
Not quite.
Before he started shilling for all he's worth.
I'm a long way off getting one of those fancy little fucking plaques in the background from YouTube. That's for sure.
If you go in Brew Day Supplies, it's Tricky's face as the poster boy.
I think
not anymore. They changed that. I was well pissed off.
God.
YouTube should add like a some sort of homebrew handicap for the plaque. Just
I think so too.
Considering its niche kind of corner of YouTube, you know, it's like if you hit 5,000, like that's the equivalent of like 100,000.
Yeah, exactly.
I totally agree.
Yeah, you should get the award in the post.
I'm gonna lobby YouTube.
Niche.
Is
niche
that
silver and gold.
I'm just conscious of the fact that the beer levels drop below my camera.
All right, okay, I'll be quick.
So
Okay, right, I'll batter on. So basically, it's got a really nice, good bitterness that coats your mouth. It's got a kind of that sort of orange and papaya kind of coating thing that goes on, which is definite. Nice malty sweetness. So very, very good, and it's something that you could drink a definite good few pints of and enjoy.
Sounds nice.
It was quite funny actually because one of my wife's colleagues was when we were doing the Eurovision last weekend. he was saying tonight is sponsored by Boeing, which was what he was hammering through, and I was like, "Oh shit, I've got a bottle of that actually." So, yep, there you go.
I've just fucked up and clicked play on the YouTube feed, and now I can't fucking minimize it because I'm the one streaming it. Shit. Even more bandwidth gone. Oh my god. It's lucky I've got it in abundance, isn't it? Right. So my beer this evening is it's a beer where, let's say, my thunder was stolen. Okay.
Thunder.
So a certain
You don't need to talk about this. Nobody else knows, Chris. Nobody else knows.
Yeah, but then I can frame you as being the con.
About 8 other people.
It's a very tenuous
in the world that know about this. Just move on.
Okay, in that case, this is a beer from Duration. Which is called...
Oh, I had that one earlier.
Yeah. Fuck off, you bearded wank puppy. It's called For Wallace, and it is their... I think it's is it a 3.5% Patters beer.
Tricky, was it any good?
Yeah, decent. I liked it.
Chris, it's funny you should mention that.
Very zesty and refreshing.
You had that one earlier.
Really good for a 3.5% beer. What's a farmhouse kind of?
What kind of aroma did it have, Tricky?
Sorry, Chris, what you were saying?
Yeah, just hang on a second. So we'll go mute. Right, all these three wank puffins are now muted. I can talk as much as I want. The actual beer itself it's really good. It's very light. It's kind of a pseudo sour in the way that it tastes, in the flavor. It's very, very refreshing. I wouldn't call it zesty. I think zesty is putting a bit too much of an exclamation on the citrus flavor. I would call it more. It's like that. You know that zing on the back of your tongue when you're eating a lemon drizzle cake, and you get it's a little touch. It's not really zesty. I think zesty's over egging the pudding. Not that I'm saying Tricky's got a bad palate or anything. I'm just saying, I think you went a bit too far.
Pseudo sour. It's not sour. What are you on about?
It has certain goatee aspects.
Farmhousey, not sour.
It has goatee aspects to the beer. I personally think it's.
I don't think goatee equates to sour. You can have goat without sour.
Can you?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, my Brett American farmhouse ale was funky goat without sour.
Okay.
Anyway, Chris, sorry, go on.
That's fine. So it's from Duration. It's a Patters beer, and you should buy some. Fuck off.
Come on, Chris. Come on, tell us more about the beer.
No, fuck off. Yeah. So anyway, back to Golden Ales.
Come on.
No, it's a nice beer. It's a very pleasant, easy drinking, very smashable. And I honestly, I would put 4 cans of this alongside a barbecue any day of the week and twice on Sunday, especially if that barbecue has brisket on it. I think the way that this beer, the flavor profile of this beer, I believe would cut through the fattiness of a brisket really, really well. Yeah.
Isn't the Patters beer? Is that not the beer style that the monks make when they're fasting?
Yes.
Isn't it normally like much higher in ABV?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, normally
6-7%, isn't it?
Yeah. At 3.5 though, this one sits really nice.
Is it the father's beer? The father's beer, is that what it?
Grandfather or father's
like
beer?
Like a table beer version of it or something.
It is very, very nice. I mean, the head retention is pretty crap, as you can see. Well, that's probably because it's been sat in the glass for 20 minutes.
Who cares about head retention, though, really?
Well, there are some people, like, those BJCP wallers, they care about it.
This is true.
I think this is just one of those beers where I could happily do, weirdly enough, I'm getting notes of hay.
Yeah.
And I had, I went out for dinner about a week ago, and I had a hay smoked soft boiled egg. It was the starter at the restaurant that I went to, and it was fucking beautiful. It was really nice.
What was this for?
I went out for dinner.
Are you allowed to do that?
Yeah. Occasionally.
Who looked after the kids?
Yeah, the in-laws. Or the outlaws, as we refer to them.
Yep.
Where are you going that does hay smoked eggs? This is
we have classic and very classy restaurants in Wakefield.
Really?
Just not round any of the parts you took us. Then.
You never went anywhere near Wakefield. You were in Outwood. So yeah, it was really nice. It was very pleasant, and I get some notes of that hay, that kind of hay aroma and that hay flavor.
Can you get that from malt?
I don't know. It might be coming from the fact that it was filtered through a horse trough. I don't know.
It sounds a bit like there's some Brett involved.
Yeah, this is a smidge.
I thought it was a little bit Bretty. Yeah.
Yes.
It seems like all of the duration beers have a little bit of that sort of Belgian-y, farmhousey.
It's probably just through infection throughout the whole brewery.
That might be it, yeah.
You see,
not deliberate.
No, it may end up. I mean, you laugh, but what do you call it? Harvey's. They have a bacteria that lives in the walls around the brewery, and occasionally, well, not occasionally, pretty much every time it falls into the beer, and you end up with a very distinct flavor.
Yeah.
But this is fucking smashable. This is a very. I could do damage to a 4-pack with a brisket. I swear to God, this is a really nice beer.
To be fair, I think part of their USP is that a lot of their beers have that sort of Belgian-y, farmhousey element to it. I mean, they market themselves as the sort of Norfolk, farmhouse, brewery or whatever. So
there's definitely funk. There's definitely some funk. I would recommend that you guys get on and have a look at Duration Brewing, because I've had a few of their beers now and I've not been disappointed with any of them.
Okay.
You see, I've introduced Brett into my brewery, and I'm a little concerned that it might end up taking over.
You're concerned that Brett's going to drown in your fermenter?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to put some health and safety measures in place.
It's going to be like just build a rail out of the, the sides for Scale X tricks.
Leave a few polos around the rim in case he falls in.
I'll paint them orange.
Yeah, an orange stripe.
I'll get fruit polos.
What were they called? What were the fruit polos called? Were they called Fruitos?
No, they were just good fruit polos, weren't they?
No, I'm pretty sure they had
That's a good question. Name. I'm not sure.
Somebody Google that shit quickly.
Fascinating.
Oh man! If you're gonna take the piss out of Brett, you have to do it properly.
Fruit polos.
That's fruit polos.
I thought they had a specific name.
Polo fruits. That's what they're called. Polo fruits.
An important distinction.
So, very nice beer, highly recommended. I've not had a bad one. This is a collab with Pressure Drop, by the way.
Oh.
So it's not Duration on their own; it's a collab with Pressure Drop.
Yeah.
Which everybody seems to be doing lots and lots of collabs these days. Probably because it's summer and they just want to fucking take the piss and go for a road trip.
No, but it's like you get to learn from each other as well.
I know.
Right?
We work for Overtone. We're going to go down and see Arbor and do a collab with them because it's a 19-hour road trip. Yay!
No, but is it not also that it basically each brewery then gets to market to new audiences as well? It's about growth and marketing through existing customers. Yeah.
It's fantastic. It's amazing. I love it. I think that the more that we get people working with each other, the whole kind of the industry moves forward. That's what I think. You don't get progression without experimentation.
Yeah. Whereas we've got each other, we just share stuff openly.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, most of it's on Discord, so you better become a Patreon. That's all I'm saying.
That's where all the good information is.
Tap into that recipe bank that doesn't currently have anything in it yet. But yeah.
Well, that what you mean to say is that recipe bank that's going to very shortly be created.
Well, we can both put in a award-winning beer, can't we? Award-winning. Not like the award-winning beers you see on some brewing channels.
That's true.
Isn't there a
scored out of 100 in brewing competitions? Not mentioning any names. Hairy arms.
Isn't there a hairy fucker that does that?
No, I've not heard of him.
Is that we're pro brewer alert?
Yeah, that might be the one. Woo!
I've been brewing for 750 years, man and boy.
Master brewer.
Is this another Millington bingo
system?
I didn't start this one. I just joined in. So, I think we can we tick that commercial because we're an hour and 20 minutes in.
I think the commercial's done. Yeah.
Okay, so the base water profile. I assume this is the water profile. We're getting back to Golden Ales.
Brewfather.
Back to it. I was going to say, is this the one that came from Brewfather?
Yeah, because
that is the one that I've used many, many times when I've just made a quick session beer for something to drink in the garden.
Yeah, just look at it. It's
perfect, isn't it?
Let's tell the audience because they can't see our notes.
I was going to say we might need to read these numbers out.
Yeah, we probably.
Yeah. Hang on. Whoa. Are you telling me that our audience isn't psychic yet?
No.
Guess the numbers, audience.
Slightly confused though. Where's the chloride on there?
It's the one that says 150 because he's forgot.
We're going to have a game of higher or lower.
Oh, hang on. That's the wrong way around, isn't it? Surely the sulfate.
Hang on. I've got a pretty
No.
I'm pretty sure that's a postcode.
No, sulfate is one. Let me get. No, hold on. Let me get.
So CA75 Carlisle
could be 150.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So we have calcium 75, magnesium 15, sodium. Why is it Na plus?
That's quite high.
That's very high for the sodium.
Very high.
No, I'm trying to work out why he's put Na plus because Na plus is an ion.
All right, science boy.
That's annoying me. That now.
No, I can't find it, can I?
I'm gonna have to remove that plus. So,
are you sure that's right? 75 parts per million for sodium.
Yeah.
Hang on a minute.
No, that might be the. I think 75 might be the chloride.
Okay,
wow, you've really bolstered this up, Andy.
This is botched. It's a botched job. Right.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not that. If you rearrange the numbers, it's not far off my favorite water profile for Golden Ales, which is basically about 70 something on calcium. Magnesium, I don't really worry about, but it generally ends up about 10-ish anyway. Sodium will be a lot lower than the number there, and again, I generally don't worry about it or add any salt in order to bring it up. But sulfate for me would be about 150, chloride about 50, and most of the time, if I'm using building up from RO, I don't really have any bicarbonate in there at all, and then just correct with acids. So that's my go-to Golden Ale profile. But to be honest, that's my go-to pale ale of any kind of description, unless I want to go down the sort of hazy fruit bomb session NEPA type avenue. Otherwise, I'd pretty much stick with that for everything from Golden Ales, APAs, even through to IPAs, where I might bump the sulfate up a little bit if I'm going through a sort of West Coast style IPA.
I think my one observation here is when you are using RO water to get to a level of 75 on calcium, I have a really hard time kind of rebuilding that calcium level. I tend to cut my RO with tap water in order to kind of get to a decent level of calcium. What's your solution there, Tricky?
I think if you're looking at sort of 50-ish on the chloride and 150-ish on the sulfate, you can get there relatively easy just with. Hang on, I'm trying to find a recipe for an example. You can get there relatively easily with the gypsum and the calcium chloride flakes, maybe with a little bit of the magnesium sulfate
you
added in as well.
You need a bit of it. Yeah, we set the Epsom
So-
salts for the magnesium.
Yeah.
Do I have to go into teacher mode here?
Why not?
Calcium chloride is CaCl2, right? So you're getting 2 chlorides for every calcium. So that's easy. And then for your sulfate to be that high, you can either use magnesium sulfate because your magnesium is used for yeast health, or you can use calcium sulfate or a bit of both. That's a dead easy water profile to build.
Hmm.
Yeah, well, I think it's probably...
You're quiet, Owen.
It's probably the absence of me having any... I only use magnesium sulfate.
Oh, you've got to have gypsum, mate.
Yeah, gypsum is
no,
essential.
I have gypsum as well. Yeah, no, I definitely
Well, I
have
use gypsum and calcium chloride all the time.
Yeah, no, in fact, no, tell a lie. I don't have magnesium sulfate. I only have gypsum. But, yeah.
Magnesium sulfate is just Epsom salts.
Yeah.
Okay, so just to give you a working example of this, for a 23-litre batch built up from RO, my total additions of, and this is literally just gypsum and calcium chloride, so I didn't use anything else, which means that my calcium ends up slightly higher than the 75 we just discussed, which you could get around by using a bit of magnesium sulfate instead. But basically, I can hit 91 calcium, 50 chloride, 150 sulfate with about, well, not about, exactly 3.3 grams of calcium chloride, 8.6 grams of gypsum in a 23-litre batch. And that's the total additions for the whole liquor quantity.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll get back in my box then.
No. Your box is fine, mate. We'll leave the lid open. Little joke for you, which Luke Stevens has just reminded me. So there's 2 chemists at a bar. One says, I'll have a glass of H2O. The second one says, I'll have a H2O too. Second one dies. Why?
Heavy water.
Is that heavy water?
Yeah.
No, that's deuterated water. It's hydrogen peroxide, H2O2. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want that.
Yeah, nobody's laughing. Everybody's pitying me right now. Thanks, Luke. So
yeast. Let's talk about yeast.
I mean, yeah.
you.
Are we done with water profiles, or does anyone else do anything particularly different to that?
I tend to run my chloride and my sulfide. I think I tend to run chloride at around about 100.
Yeah.
Sulfide at around about 135, because that's just where mine ends up. Not for any reason of flavor or anything, just because that's what I used the first time I brewed a golden ale. It worked, so I stuck with it.
Yeah. If I treat my tap water with acid, that's what I tend to end up with as the base levels for chloride and sulfate. So the tap water, although it does, come out like chalk water, if you do treat it with acid, it's not actually that bad for brewing kind of beers like this, especially English style ales with the base levels of chloride and sulfate. Anyway,
Tends to work out quite nice, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So you're pretty much sorted. Yeast. What sort of yeast have you used then, Owen? When you've been brewing goldies, what have you used yeast wise?
I think I've used USO5, just like Chico strain, just as a nice clean fermenting ale yeast, and I think I've also used the Midwestern ale yeast, which throwback kind of 18 months I used to be like hammering on about all the time, which I think actually I haven't used it for quite a while, but I think it's a really great yeast to use for as a replacement for the Chico yeast. I think it's just got just a little bit more flavor, adds a little bit more creaminess to the beer. It's not quite so
peachy,
dare I say, bland.
USO5 is boring as fuck, isn't it?
Oh,
it does its job. It does its job. It gets out of the way and lets everything.
But that can be a good thing for a golden ale. So
you're quite right.
I was just trying to get Andy's heckles up.
I was going a little bit avant-garde with the old Midwestern ale yeast. I think
I agree,
probably
Owen. I think
I've
a lot
used.
of the other alternative kind of American ale yeast, bearing in mind most of them are basically English ale yeast that have been taken over to America anyway, are pretty good candidates for it. So stuff like the American Ale 2 from Y East 1272, I've used that before, and that was good. The Laumond American West Coast Ale yeast is a decent one for golden ales as well. I think I've used that before. Pretty much any of the cleaner, more drier kind of English ale or American ale strains, I think are all good candidates for golden ale as far as I'm concerned.
I reckon maybe the verdant yeast could be a reasonably good shout for a golden ale.
It would bring something a little bit different to the party, but yeah,
I don't like verdant.
The yeast?
I'm not a big fan. No, the brewery's fine. I just don't like the yeast.
Just too big a krausen.
It's a strange yeast. It's a strange one. Personally, I lean on either Irish ale or I lean on Nottingham, weirdly enough. I've used West Yorkshire a few times. West Yorkshire makes a very good golden ale.
West Yorkshire's full of flavour.
West Yorkshire's amazing.
Finishing gravity, I'd imagine.
Yeah, you have to mash quite low, but it does work pretty well. And the other one I've used is obviously SO4.
Yeah.
God, I haven't made a beer with SO4 for years.
Do you want to know an interesting fact, Owen? I have never used SO4.
Have you not? I think
that's because you've got 4 kilos of USO5.
No, but everyone slates it. Everyone slates it. So
they do. Yeah,
it's rubbish.
It's like a real finicky yeast. I think.
I think it can be a pain in the arse. But the thing with SO4 that puts me off more than anything else is that the flavour profile that I get from it just reminds me of every bog standard like small scale microbrewery English ale that I've ever tasted, because they're all using that fucking strain of yeast. And I just taste it and go, SO4. It's just like, it reminds me of all the shit like regional cask ales that I've tried in the past. And I can't get away from that, even though I know it can make really good beers. I know other people have made really good beers with it. You know, it's better than the homebrew. Some elements of the homebrew scene make it out to be, but you know, it's not my favorite at all, I must say.
And where I'm normally is obviously I use USO5 all the time because I've got a brick of it to use. So
you got to get that return on that brick. You'll get there eventually.
Every beer I make with USO5, I really love. To be honest, I just think it creates such a clean, nice beer. You get a slight peach off it.
It's just a workhorse yeast, isn't it? You're super reliable. You know what it's going to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
You have to, with USO5, you do have to give it time to drop, because you do get that when you have it. If you have it within the first week or two, you get that sort of USO5 sort of, I don't know, dry thing at the back of your throat, and you go, that's USO5.
Yeah, it's not a pleasant yeast to be drinking when it's still in suspension at all.
Not at all. So you have to give it like, I don't know, 4 weeks or something generally, or if you can find it. But I just leave it, to be honest, and just let it do its thing.
Yeah, the thing is, there's better options that you don't get that shit and don't have to leave it for 4 weeks.
So, but then what's cheap and dry?
It's cheap and dry. Yeah. You said it all, Andy.
Yeah, I don't need to make up a starter or anything like that. If I want to do something, on the day, I'm like, so I just want to brew, then I can just chuck that in.
Yeah.
The other option I've got is Sanders, but I find Sanders, the Vermont yeast, it works a lot better at higher ABVs. I think for the pales, it's just not, it's a bit flabby. Whereas it really shines when you put a lot of sugar at it, I think.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
So, essentially, what we're saying is there's many different ways to make a golden ale. But the beer that you're going to end up with, as a general rule, is going to be a quaffable monster.
Crushable.
Yeah. And that's what you want from a beer.
I think if we we're going to look for the general parameters of a good golden ale yeast, you just got to say sort of like relatively clean, although you can choose some of the slightly more characterful ones, but you don't want anything that's going to really start to overtake the other flavors in there. Because like we say, we tried to be fairly restrained with some of the other elements in there. Relatively high attenuation, I think, is quite good for a golden ale. So you want it to be leaning more towards dry than sweet.
Yeah.
And if you want it to drop bright, then obviously a high flocculation yeast as well is quite a good option. So those would be the general parameters for me if I was looking for stuff.
So come on,
well summarized.
So come on, guys, we've given you the malt, we've given you the hops, we've given you the yeast, we've given you the water profile. It's up to you now to produce some fantastic golden ales and let us know about them.
Maybe send one or two of them to us.
Yeah, send us a copy.
It's been a while since we've had a sort of homebrew beer mail for review across all the.
The four of us.
Our doors are open. Is all
they
I'll
are.
say.
They are. They are. Now, one thing I'm going to say is, yes, this is a shorter episode than we normally do. However, the four of us, before we get too hammered, have to sit down, right? And we have to do a podcast, which is going to come out later on this week. Tricky. It's going to come out later on this week.
Say what?
Okay. I'd like this episode really to be up by maybe Thursday, if possible, mate. The one that we're about to record.
Okay.
And obviously, you don't like doing things out of order, so this one needs to be up by Tuesday. And we're gonna be making a fairly hefty, think my arse sized announcement. Okay, it's got its own gravitational pull.
Yeah, it's mega.
So it's massive, right? And that's just my arse. So what we need to do is we need to cut this one a bit short. We've got to go. We're going to record another podcast. The after party is not going to happen tonight, guys. I may stick a link to it on the Discord channel. So if any of you guys are wanting to join up, then you need to quickly go to Patreon and sign up to the Patreon. And then I will throw the Discord link in on one of the messages on Patreon. You can join us for the after party. For those of you who are already Patreons, I will post it on Disco, and you can join us for the after party then. But we've got a little bit of recording to do now. Very big announcement. Keep your ears to the ground for the Hop Edition, because you can see from the smile on Owen's face, this one's a big one, guys.
Yeah,
and he's not that pissed. He's only had one dipper, so essentially, Owen's still at breakfast. Okay,
I'm all good.
It's
I'm
coming.
on fire on all cylinders.
Go make a golden ale, people. Let us know how it went. That's what we want. And feel free to send us a bottle. We'll happily review it. That's how good we are. We are at one with our fans. We're happy to review your beer. Other than that, do your reading, because there's a lot of information out there about golden ales. I started to do some research and I quit after about an hour because I was just reading so much. A great beer, ultimately smashable, barbecue beer. I think that's about it for this pod. What do you reckon, guys?
Yeah.
I think let's wrap it up there.
Yep. And if you haven't brewed it, brew the Vacant Gesture. Try that.
Yeah, brew Vacant or Dr. Smutto's Golden Beer. Dr. Smutto's Golden Shower. That's what it was. That's the one. So we'll hit you up and we'll post in Disco. But other than that, guys, enjoy yourselves. Apologies, it's a short one, but there's going to be another one along soon that you're going to want to listen to, trust me. So thank you very much for listening, guys. And let's call it there, boys. Say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, right. We're going to cut the live feeds. See you soon.
It's all right.
Bye.
I've cut the recording now.
Done.
Let's end that stream.
That was